Dad Mod's Media Machine presents the Brews with the Dudes podcast.
Damn. Or Mad Max?
Yes, it could either or.
I mean, do you think they had Rust-Oleum in Mad Max? When did Mad Max, when was it supposed to have taken place?
I don't know.
It's after the world ends.
I thought it was like 2022 or something like that. I thought it's like a year that's coming up really soon.
Well, we built
here.
out in plenty of anticipation and whatnot.
I don't know, man.
Might have to consult the Oracle
Yeah, we might have to.
or rewatch.
We might have to.
Rewatch it. It's a good film.
Yeah. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Brews with the Dudes podcast. I am Jake Lindquist.
I'm Donnie Allen.
And with us is the well-known historian, Steve Collins.
No relation to Phil Collins.
I was waiting for the man, the myth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone wants to know, when did you start with Encyclopedia Britannica?
7.
7. Well, thanks for coming back and sitting at the... is this an octagon? What did we determine this was?
This account 1, 2. Yeah, I think it's octagon. That's octagon.
Sitting in the octagon with us.
Yeah, no, it's not UFC though, so you don't have to like.
I don't get a
punch
throw
somebody.
down?
No, I mean you can hit Jake if you want.
Well,
I'll throw down with mine.
you can throw... Yeah, we're going to club each
Again.
other with the mics. All right, time to drink some beer.
Beer. That's my favorite part of the podcast. Ooh. Invisible
One of
rays.
these, Steve? Burrito?
I'll take one of these.
Okay. I love that you always bring your own reinforcements with. You're just too good for
Or hipster beer.
our hipster beers.
Well, not necessarily.
He likes flavored water, right? Leave him alone.
Actually,
I-
definitely, I'm going to take one of those from you at some point tonight.
I've never had that grain belt, but the grain belts I have had, I liked.
Yeah.
The Primos.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I fully anticipated taking all the shit from you, Donnie.
Is that why you brought a bunch of beer?
So you can tolerate being around you.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Well,
shit, I gotta be around this little asshole.
If my pace accelerates exponentially, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Challenge
Perfect.
accepted.
So there might be an arm wrestle by the end of the night.
Yeah, probably.
Why not?
Yeah, let's see how much beer we have.
We'll
in
adjust
us.
the cameras and okay.
But didn't they make a movie about arm wrestling? Isn't there a Sylvester Stallone
I hope so.
arm wrestling film?
There
like
could
the
be.
80s.
That sounds great. Steve, do you know you're the historian? Jesus Christ.
I'm pulling a blank.
All right, so Gas Monkey Garage. I see you're wearing a shirt of theirs. I feel like I've never really watched it, but I've seen the memes. So is the show pretty cheesy or is it pretty decent?
Honestly, I haven't watched it in years.
Okay. Because it's the goatee dude, right?
Yep.
Kind of a silverback.
Yep, Richard Rollins.
Wasn't there
Okay,
a dude
Richard
with, like,
Rollins, that's
with
it,
like
yeah.
a ZZ Top beard on there as well?
Yes.
That would,
Is he like one of the fabricators or
Yeah,
something?
he was like the lead fabricator mechanic.
he
Okay.
was though.
Yeah, he left the show.
Really?
Yeah, no, they don't. I don't think they actually have a cable show now. They just do online YouTube stuff.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. Well, that's why Dad Mods isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, this cheesy ass bullshit.
So the story behind the shirt, they just recently had a basically giveaway. You buy a T-shirt, whatever, you get put in a drawing. It's like everyone else is doing. You win a car. You go down, pick which car you want. And since I got sucker written across my forehead, I bought a couple T-shirts.
Sure.
Hence the T-shirt.
That's awesome.
But there was a couple Model A's that were.
Really?
There was. I mean, I could always use more T-shirts. So
yeah, exactly. I mean,
I'll buy a T-shirt and
Yeah.
a chance to go get a Model A.
hey, you spend what $60 and you could win a Model A. That sounds like a fair
Yeah,
deal.
that's pretty
fine.
rad. And you get a shirt. You know.
Yeah,
Why
I
the
still
fuck
get a
not?
shirt on the deal. I'm not going naked.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, it's because you're not one of your sons.
Coworkers appreciate it.
This is true.
Probably you guys
This is true.
too.
So
Yeah,
wait a
that
minute. There was. Tell me what the lineup of cars that were offered in this thing. How did this work?
It was just like random drawing.
Is it one of those? What do they call them? Waffles? What is this?
I don't need.
No, a waffle is an auction on Facebook
Yeah.
because Facebook doesn't allow auctions.
I think a
So
waffle
you
is
have a waffle.
code for raffle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's code word. So it's a raffle, but they're like, I'm donating this, but I need you to
Yeah.
all donate $10.
Yeah. So it's a workaround, right?
Yeah, it's just it's a play on words.
Yeah,
Like,
because I had
it's a loophole.
wondered why these like you could win a car thing just popped up fucking everywhere. Like
Yeah, they're
everybody
everywhere
was
now.
offering something like that. But I have to assume that it works amazing to raise more money than selling the car outright would be. I think that's got to be the angle.
That's what we need to do with the Civic.
Well, and that crossed my
We
mind.
need
I
an
thought
auction
like,
off. $100 buy-in gets you a shirt, maybe a hat, chance to win
Mm-hmm.
the Civic. We get 8 people.
And you get rid of the Civic.
yeah,
And you
we
make
get rid of the
twice as
Civic.
much money.
yeah, right.
And you get Dad Mod's merch out.
Exactly.
You get a shirt for the. Oh,
You
it's
wanna buy some
interesting.
t-shirts,
That's
Steve?
interesting.
I'm out of the T-shirt game. Actually, I actually had Heat Press to do all T-shirts, but
yeah.
I'm not interested in doing subpar products.
Oh no. We mean like, do you want to buy a
Yeah, do you
T-shirt?
wanna-
Oh yeah,
wanna buy it?
I'll buy a T-shirt. I already told you I got sucker across my forehead.
Steve's going to buy 34 T-shirts
Oh,
and a chance
man.
to win the Civic.
Well,
It's my dream car.
so it works
You
really
like the color
good.
blue.
It works when you have a good audience, though. I think that's a big part of it. You got
Yeah.
a decent audience, you got decent reach. There's more
I-
people that are willing to pitch in.
I think our audience is good. It's just not big enough.
yeah, like it might work
There's
if
some
we.
cool people in our
The only
audience.
thing is like, okay, so say we sell tickets for $20 a pop, and you get a decal or something like that. The only problem is like, what happens if only 20 people get reached?
Yeah.
You know,
You just keep extending the deadline. Another month.
our selection software is not working.
Yeah. Oh, we had a glitch. We had to extend another month.
Yeah.
Bonus entries this month.
Well, so we're gonna have a good test run with this, and granted, the Civic would probably bring a lot more people in because then it's like you
could
can
win
win a
something.
car.
Yeah.
But we Super Clean is one of our sponsors of the show, and like. Well, the affiliates or whatever you'd want to call it.
They give us products.
They give us some swag and
Yeah.
stuff. Hence the super clean shit in the back here and all the cleaning products and stuff. They're going to be doing a giveaway with us. So, basically, we'll figure out what the circumstances for it, and we'll announce that really quick here. But, people can enter to win a free giveaway of a bunch of super clean things and stuff. So it'll be
down.
interesting to see how it all works out and how many people actually jump into that. And then that will inform whether or not we put the Civic up.
Well, I know one guy who's a sucker, so
Sign me up for 2.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's what with that. but-
Steve buys enough tickets to actually go out and just buy the products.
I'd have been money ahead to buy the products instead of.
Oh, with the cleaners, no.
No,
it's just gonna be straight like
Like
I
and
don't
share and post a picture or something.
know. Yeah, we'll figure out
Ring the
something
bell.
like that. Like basically, if you're sub to the channel and I don't know what the other thing was. Sub to the channel and comment on the video or something
Yeah,
like that.
That's
Like
probably what we'll end up doing.
yeah, it'll be something silly.
So something you already do.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for that. It's
Yes,
nice.
yeah.
Whenever
It's
we
really
see like
appreciated.
the top 3 or the first 3 hits on these videos, we know it's probably you or one of them.
Followed by us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I usually pride myself in you getting the #1 view
Nice.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
because my life is that exciting.
Well, your
Oh, wait.
life's actually pretty fucking exciting.
Hey,
and
you're a crane operator.
and based
That's
on what you were doing the
badass.
other day, that was pretty fucking sweet. Are you assembling a crane still, or are you were you
No.
flying the big guy?
Yeah, we're assembling boats.
Assembling boats, yeah.
That sounds badass.
Pretty fucking dope. And for the listeners who aren't aware, it's not like we're assembling dinghies.
Yeah.
Homeboy here is assembling 1,000-foot freighters.
Oh, well, we're not doing anything that big.
Okay, so dinghies.
like speedboats, pontoons,
Ferries.
ferries. That's
Oh, they're ferries
Ferries
currently,
is still
yeah.
a good sized boat, though.
It's like a 300-foot boat.
Yeah, that's still a good sized boat.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. But you guys service everything that's on the Great Lakes.
Correct.
You'll service everything. You handle all the shipping industry related stuff, and that includes salties, things, overseas boats. The big
for those
domestic
of you who
market stuff.
don't live here, like our friend in New Zealand, Glenn, shout out.
Yep.
Learned his name and memorized it.
Mm-hmm.
A salty is a ship that goes on the ocean as well because the locks are only so big. You can only get certain size ships out there through the locks and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what a salty is. It's not somebody who's just being a bitch.
Yeah. Well, although it's probably like an
There's lots of
Australian
those people
expression.
out there too, though.
A lot of bitches on the Great Lakes.
I know somebody. I'm trying to get you to drink tonight. Is it working?
He's gonna need another one pretty quick here.
I am.
Yeah. So I mean, what? So you've worked on the shipping industry forever. You
15 years.
Yeah, 15
Well,
years.
At my current position.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
That's a
man.
long. That's a pretty good length of time.
That's funny. So I've been in social work for 14 years. So you started right before you and I. Well, no, we were hanging out at that point still, weren't we? No,
I think
we weren't yet.
I got my first adult, well, not adult job, but my first job 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Not to make you feel ancient.
I already feel old.
That's fine. You look old.
I am
Yeah.
old. Well, relative.
It's
So-
just a number.
You've seen some shit in your 15 years there.
Yes.
What is the wackiest thing that you've come across? Oh, can you even speak to it though, for that matter?
There's some things I just can't speak about.
Okay, I suppose because yes, this is the shipping industry. So
Yeah.
how like locked up are you guys as far as like okay, so you can't fly without going through the TSA bullshit. That's super locked down these days. Well, as locked down as TSA will allow it. What's the shipping industry like? What level of border patrol related stuff are we talking?
There's actually so like to access any of the docks on the waterfront, you have to have a TWIC card, transportation worker identification card. It's like a TSA type card with a little chip in it and your photo, and there's supposed to be security guards checking it, and TSA will actually come down every once in a great while and like make sure everyone's like on the up and up.
Wait, you're telling me you guys have to deal with TSA?
On a rare occasion, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That would kind of
Are
suck.
they better? Is there like a hierarchy of TSA agents? Like the ones who go to the shipyard are better or worse?
Yeah, do they bitch at you more, or are they more laid back?
Honestly, I've had so few
Encounters?
run-ins, encounters that, yeah. And even like
That's
the
good,
few
okay.
times I do show up to make sure everyone has, I mean, who they are, says who they say they are. That dude's in the crane. We're gonna fuck.
Oh
that
yeah,
dude.
that's true. I mean,
fair enough.
so you're
Yeah.
not gonna have any interactions with them, I suppose.
No.
So when the TSA comes through, what are they? Can you even say what they're checking? Like, are they just inspecting, like what ships or
Basically, they're
foreign
just,
vessels?
like there's like a gate guard like checking everyone in, just basically double checking. Oh, yep, XYZ person's here. There's not anyone else who's not supposed to be here. Yep, that guard's doing what he says he's doing.
That's cool. Okay.
And it's even that's pretty rare. They don't seem to care about shipping.
So
that much.
it's more inspection related than anything else. They don't
Yeah.
specifically work for you guys. They're closer to like OSHA or something in the way that they come out and they just
kind
make
of.
sure shit's on the up and up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
not bad then.
how often do you guys have foreigners coming through? Do they ever like set foot in the Fraser area, or are they like?
It's pretty rare to be in the shipyard itself, but like we go all over the harbor. There's nowhere we don't really go.
Okay.
If they need us, we go to them.
So how often do you get to interact with these foreigners? Like when the salty comes in, do you ever get to chat with some dude who's from like Spain or something?
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
I've had people all over.
No
so-
shit.
And then in a previous career, I actually, for like a season, I worked for a company that sold groceries and sundries to the ships. And a few times I've had to actually go out and like call on these salties and like take their orders. And there's some crazy shit out there.
Like what are they ordering?
Just everything. Groceries. They order some weird shit too.
Yeah.
So is it more like
At least American would view as.
Oh sure.
they don't
Yeah.
order like touristy stuff? They're like, oh, I'm in America. Like, give me a big fucking cheeseburger and some steak.
I need some Frito Lays.
Yeah.
But I remember like especially with salties, like everything's like cash on delivery, and you gotta like get cash. And I remember this one time I'm dealing with this captain. He's Russian, and I remember he had this like one like nail that was like super long and like sharpened to a point.
Like a coke nail?
Oh yeah, it was like
Or like,
a
I'm
coke
gonna,
nail
like,
on
jab it.
steroids. Like he could like slash and like cut you and like processes like
Jesus.
all like in the same like this dude.
Like, it's a weapon.
Oh yeah, and they're,
Like, he needs a permit for it.
like he wanted to sit down and do like vodka shots and he was like just he was intimidating.
Did you
as fuck.
take him up on this offer?
No, I was too young.
Oh,
I'm like, I can't do that on the job.
Yeah, but you could.
I'm like, no, I'm sure he's just thinking, this kid's a bitch.
Yeah, these fucking Americans are so soft. What do you mean you're not drinking at work?
Yeah, you're like 17. Come on. Get your life together. What are you doing?
That's badass, dude. Okay. Your Russian ships. God, I suppose. I mean, well, no, wait. How do you get a Russian ship here?
With the water.
Well, he might have been like he might have been like very like Eastern European, like Russian Federation type.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I know jack shit about Russia, and I should probably know more.
Don't they have part of isn't there a sea that leads to the ocean by Russia? Isn't there a harbor right there? Up by, or no, maybe I'm thinking of Sweden. I might be thinking of Sweden and Denmark. Well, my European knowledge might be
Russia
completely
does
whack.
have coastline.
Eventually, yeah. But I mean, I know they have coastline on like the Alaska side of the United States, but it wouldn't make sense to go all the way around and up and in.
Well, like the way shipping works, like they might not just be a vessel might be a Russian flag, but it might not be. It could be moving goods from
That's
A
true.
to B that has nowhere near Russia.
Are you pulling up a map?
I'm pulling up a map. Yeah.
I'll say I told you the Earth is flat, man. You don't believe me.
All right. I'm gonna see. This is a
No.
test, and sorry for you guys if this doesn't work. Nope. Okay. Well, you guys can still hear us. It looks
we
like
gonna
the
have a
audio is
geography
working.
quiz?
Bear with me.
gonna
I'm just gonna
fail.
do browser
I-
capture.
I can name like some
We're gonna
states.
grab a map of world. It might pop up. Is it gonna work?
What's
Hey,
up?
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for dealing with that moment of shenanigans there. Okay, so what we have here is a map of the worldy world. Let's see if this is gonna let us zoom.
I
Not
hope
gonna
it
let us
does.
zoom. A little bit. A little bit. Here we
Okay,
go.
so there's-
Okay,
there's
so
some water up there.
there's here we got Russia up in her. Okay, yeah. So herein lies my confusion about the whole.
So they
How do we get Russian ships here?
So they just go up by Iceland, right?
So we're right there at the basically Lake Superior's pointing at us. There, hopefully you guys can see the cursor, and then Russia's way up here. So we're talking that this ship goes all the way around Ireland and the UK there, and comes in through the St. Lawrence and floats its way all the way up to us. That's a long cruise.
Yeah. I mean, there's ships that call on this port from all over the world.
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. So these crazy Soviets have to sit on that boat for a long time.
No wonder they want to just drink as soon as they get here.
Yeah, no shit.
I'd want to drink too.
Well, they probably don't stop, and that's how it passes the time.
Well,
Probably.
depending on what country or what, I don't exactly know exactly how it works, but depending on what country the boat's flagged out of, or some crews aren't allowed to leave the vessel.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, depending on where they're from.
Look to see that. Well, that
Damn.
probably gets the TSA involved in all that.
Oh, yeah,
I would
definitely.
assume. I mean,
TSA. And
when you have somebody from
border-
Russia, you don't want them just getting off and exploring Duluth.
and even
Yeah.
like U.S. flagged Lakers or rowboats. If say the last port they went to was Canada, even just if they just stopped for fuel in Canada, as soon as they tie up in the States, Border Patrol has to go on board before anyone can
wow.
come off.
No shit.
Yeah,
That probably helps with like smuggling and all that kind of crap too.
I think it's just something on the books that they have to do.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, low this, low that.
God, that's so
would-
interesting.
That'd be an interesting life though.
To
Like,
sail?
yeah, to-
well, you're not sailing.
You're not
but
sailing,
you
but
know.
to be a crewman on a vessel like that.
Yeah. That would be wild. Have you ever done that? Have you ever...
Well, when I was in the Coast Guard, I sailed the Great Lakes on an icebreaker. So
Oh,
That's pretty- that
I
can
mean, it's not exactly like what the Lakers are.
No, but you're still on a ship for a couple months at a time, I'd assume.
Yeah,
was it the Sundew at that point?
no, I was on the Mackinac. the old Mac.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that must have been wild. So you lived on the boat.
Yes.
How long of a stretch would you be out?
I think the longest we were, didn't tie up for when I was on board was probably a week and a half,
Oh, okay.
maybe 2 weeks.
That's
Yeah.
not
But that's
that bad,
pushing
man.
it.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's long enough to get
Like,
wacky.
stir crazy.
Like everyone's still
To go
just
full
working.
shining and chase coworkers with an axe.
I feel like that would take
Well,
like Charlie
you gotta-
talks about being out at Ketchikan,
Yeah.
stationed out there. I feel like that's when you get cabin fever.
Yeah.
But even like when you're stuck on a vessel with 80 people like that, and a lot of younger guys, and things get
close.
things happen. If you find interesting ways of entertaining yourselves.
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to know.
So is I
Is
do.
it like
I
double
wanna
Dutch
know.
rudder or
Well, you got a group of younger dudes, so you can only
Yeah.
imagine there's a lot of
Oh,
penis
and
that's
if there's
probably out.
any female on that ship? God, oh man, that poor woman.
Well, that's a good point. Are there females in the Coast Guard that would go out on something like
Oh
that?
yeah, we had, I can't remember exactly. It was probably close to a dozen.
Oh,
Those poor women.
out of how many?
It was 83 total crew members.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's like 8 dudes per chick.
Yep. They're probably kind of
Easy.
used to that, honestly.
Easy.
Like, I'm sure women get a lot of practice at sort of deflecting random cocks. So I
Yeah.
can't imagine that it's,
And they have like their own birthing areas and their own
oh, that's cool.
facilities. So
Yeah. So
That's
they
make it
can
easier.
kind of keep a distance from
Yeah.
the horny bros that are out there.
yeah,
But a week is different.
Typically, they in that kind of world, they grow up pretty thick skin pretty quick.
I believe
They're
it.
basically-
They probably have to.
After most of them just end up being one of the dudes after a
Yeah,
while.
the
anyway.
first time you make some ass joke or something like that, they probably just put you in your place.
Oh, ass jokes? Bro,
Yeah.
I think they have ass jokes before they even get into the military or Coast Guard in this
Probably.
sense. You know, it's like they probably go in there and they're so used to seeing unwelcomed cock all over that they're probably just like fucking dudes, you know?
So if you're living on the ship and all that for a week, 2 weeks at a time, do you get like an off day or off downtime, or is it just you're working the entire time unless you're sleeping?
Kind of depends on what our mission or at that time is, but
Okay.
basically you're like ice breaking season. You're going.
Just the whole time?
Yeah.
God, that'd make for a long day. I guess it makes your days go quick though.
Well, you're typically like when you're out, you're standing 4-hour watches,
Okay, yeah.
and then you have your normal work day during the day, and
That's not as bad then. I guess that takes up pretty much all your time.
yeah.
You just go to sleep.
Yeah.
At that time, we played a lot of Halo, so we had
That's awesome.
Wait. Are we talking Halo 1?
I think it was Halo
2.
1. It was either 1 or 2,
Either way, great games.
and
Yeah.
so
We're
the
talking
whole boat
Xbox.
was wired with Cat 5, and so like there was we actually had a server dedicated to Halo on the boat.
That's cool.
That's fantastic.
So wait, okay, so it's all wired for Cat 5. Clearly it's wireless.
No, at that time it was
No.
all wired.
No, the original Xboxes weren't wireless. You had to. wire your
No,
signal.
I mean like how are this is pre-internet. Okay. My mind goes to, well, surely you've got a wireless internet connection then. No. This
no.
is not there's
So
no
you're
internet
on-
applied.
We're only playing with
This is
other
literally
people on the
a
boat.
massive LAN party on
Yes.
the boat. Like
Yes.
a closed loop LAN
Yeah,
party.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
original Xbox, you could do LAN parties
So,
with, but you could
in
do
a way
it
that-
online.
That's cool.
that almost
Okay.
made it more fun because you knew everyone's gamer tag. You
Yeah.
knew exactly everyone, and like so
Yeah.
there was times when like some heated matches be going on.
I bet that
And
douchebag
you could-
Roger just keeps shooting me as soon as I respawn.
You could hear like coming from another part of the boat, someone hooting, hollering, headshot, bitch.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I suppose so. You'd get people that are cocky and talking shit from down the hallway.
Oh yeah,
That's so funny.
Did you have to share TVs though? Because that was always the worst. Is when
Yeah.
you had the split screen and
because
you're
a
like,
lot of times
Dude.
it ended up
Yeah.
being like 4 dudes on one Xbox.
Oh man, when
Oh,
you'd
man.
play like GoldenEye on N64 and you'd split these fucking 26-inch TVs 4 ways, it was impossible to see what you were doing.
well, and then everybody's going against you,
You're
so
right.
they just fucking like look at your screen and all that, and so you
Oh, to figure out where you're at,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it always sucked.
Yeah, man. Well, it makes you wonder, like, so Oculus Rift is coming soon enough. We all got our own screens.
Yeah.
How's that gonna work?
I have no clue.
I'm kind of stoked for like the well, and actually, we were always talking stonks and stuff, but with the whole like metaverse, I watched that Meet Kevin video here recently where he was talking about how he put 2 million into the metaverse, basically,
Yep.
which was like him was that 3D imaging stock, that company. That's one of the main ones he's putting money into, and there's a few other little things, but it's interesting to see where virtual reality is going to take us as far as like even just virtual vacations.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to wrap my head around.
It's
everything.
crazy.
There's a book followed by a movie that you need to get into.
You're going to say it's Ready Player One.
Yes.
So he
100%. Read the fucking
directly references this, and that's kind
Does
of
he?
where he thinks that they're going with all of this new AI and virtual reality stuff, is that we're heading toward that point where it's like, so somebody rents out a Puerto Rican townhome
Yeah.
thinger-dinger that's out in
That
paradise.
sounds exactly like that.
And
book.
you'd invite people out, and you would have live 3D imaging going on in the place where you could like sort of hop in with your Oculus Rift or whatever and sort of walk around in the room because it's creating the environment for you, so you can run through
Yeah,
it.
that sounds right. So read the book first, and then watch the movie. I actually think you'd rather enjoy it.
Yeah,
Only book I've ever fell in love with.
yeah. Ready Player One. Okay,
You can read.
Sometimes
he tries to.
There's a lot of big words in that. I get stuck on some of them. I gotta ask my wife, and she's like, "That means where?"
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Okay. well,
Wahir? What is
wait,
Wahir?
What Wahir? That's a weird African name.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So what do you think, Steve? In the future, are we going to be able to hop into our virtual realities and ride a freighter to Soviet Russia?
Probably. I don't see why not. I mean, is there really anything you won't be able to do in
That's true.
future VR?
I mean, let's be real. Our minds all go straight to porn. Like, how
Oh,
good's
yeah,
porn?
it's
Definitely.
And I'm pretty sure that kind of that part's already been
They've been cooked. That's already cooked.
ironed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the first thing they figure out.
Like, oh, the Oculus Rift is coming out. Well, we better,
Well, it's-
it's
It's funny.
Have this ready.
The servers for Pornhub or whatever porns that you use never crash, but the servers for like Madden or FIFA or whatever, Call of Duty, they crash all the time.
How many hours a day are you spending on Pornhub that
Not-
they never
none.
crash?
I've never had any issues though. I just know that.
You're at work.
Well, we've had a lot of downtime
You
lately.
spend most of the day in the bathroom. I'm pooping, guys.
Nobody loves me like me.
Fantastic.
I've told my wife she's way nastier in my thoughts than she is in real life.
Ooh.
No truer statement was ever muttered. Oh, man.
Yeah. So
Virtual reality, man. I don't know. It's a trip, and I have to bring it up just because it's pertinent to the moment with this whole metaverse thing coming up, and I still don't fully understand it, but it's for what I've read or heard, it sounds like that's kind of the direction everything's going.
yeah,
is
it's just a matter of
investing
time.
in
I mean, if
VR.
for how big video games are, I mean, it's a mega $1 million industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen sooner or later. It's going to happen.
That
The
virtual reality,
the virtual reality just
take
takes off.
Yeah.
They get the graphics right. They get the interaction right, and that's just gonna be the way people play games
Mm-hmm.
and probably live life. Unfortunately,
Well, what do you think, Steve? The quiet guy usually has a lot going on up there. So what's your thoughts on this whole thing?
I don't even know where to. I don't have a comment.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a trip, and we are like at the. Well, here I'll back this up. Definitely, there's been other periods in our history where we've tried to experiment with virtual reality, and every time has like kind of looked like, I don't know, an Apple IIe You know, like we're talking fucking number munchers and the original Oregon Trail and that kind of shit.
Somebody dies of dysentery.
I remember when I had to have been like maybe 10 years old or something like that. At some point in the 90s. I don't remember my exact age, but I wasn't very old. And I think we were down in the cities, and we were down at the Mall of America. So for those who are listening, it's one of the biggest malls in the world. It's in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they always have like cool shit set up outside some of the bigger like gaming stores. And like there's, you know, sort of like these common areas. And then occasionally they'll have kind of cool things set up. And at this point, when we were down there, there was a virtual reality thing set up. And so I got to go up there and try it out. And I strapped everything on, and I put on the little camera or whatever it was that was in front of my head. And it was really, it looked so cheesy. It was just sort of a black room, and then there was red neon glowing lines that indicated the space that you're in.
Okay.
So while you were walking, you were sort of walking on red glowing tiles, and it just, you know, you were moving around the space in that way. It was the most like cheesy, silly, like, you know, how do I describe this? A Tron looking environment. Okay. Without any high def or anything like that. But that was the extent of it. There was really nothing you could do besides just like sort of being present in the area. But they were at that point trying to work on some sort of like fighting game or something like that. I think that was sort of like, this is what the environment could look like. So it was a trip. And this was ages ago. You know, this was in the 90s. So to think like it started there, and clearly it never took off because it wasn't very inspiring. You hopped on that thing, you're watching it, and you're just sort of like, yeah, okay. I mean, but like, I can play Sonic the Hedgehog on my Sega.
Yeah,
so
I could go play Super Mario World and have a blast.
Where there's color and there's characters and there's interaction and stuff.
Things
so I
to
just
do.
didn't quite.
I just had a thought that popped in my head. Like, what if the next Grand Theft Auto was VR?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's got to be where it's heading.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, could you imagine how insane that would be?
Yeah, just a virtual world where you can pretty much get away with anything.
And you're like fully immersed. You're not just hammering on a controller.
God,
Yeah,
yeah.
you guys really need to read that book and watch that movie.
Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's worlds and stuff like that describe exactly that, where you can, like, if somebody hit you, you can feel the punch.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, what do they call that? Is that haptic feedback? Is that
actually,
what that's
they call
called?
it
Something like
they
that.
call it a haptic suit in the book.
Oh, they do. Okay,
They
yeah.
refer to it as a haptic suit.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that's like
Well, I want to feel things. That's why I'm going to video games. I'm like, escape. I want to feel things.
unless it's VR porn.
Well,
Yeah. Oh.
that's why I said
Yeah.
video games.
Well, if you think about it, and I had this thought pop in my head on my way home from work, is that like, okay, so there's a lot of things that are happening simultaneously that are, I think, in the end, going to tie in together. So we're talking a lot about VR and where that's going to head. And we've also got guys like Elon Musk, who's working on, what is that called? It's the brain mesh that's going to be attached to our brains, basically. And I cannot think of the name of the fucking company off the top of my head here.
I'm struggling as well.
I do not know what you're talking about.
Turning us all into cyborgs.
I just remember.
Yeah.
I just remember reading in the news about him kind of calling out the UN and be like, "Hey, if you can show me how to solve world hunger, I'll fucking pay for it."
That was pretty great, too.
Yeah.
Neuralink.
There we
Neuralink. So Neuralink is intended to be this sort of it's a way to interface with a basically a computer. So it turns our own brains. It's a literal mesh that is going to go over our brains and is going to interact, like it's going to sort of tie in. There's going to be leads that attach to different portions of the brain and allow us to, you know, our brain to basically, you know, like I'm sitting here with a computer in front of me, and instead of me, you know,
Typing
touching
up.
things and stuff, it's instant that my brain would be interacting with that, and of course
That's
accessing
fucking
the internet.
crazy
So the
thought.
level of you know, genius that you would access from a computer is going to be literally interfaced into your brain. And the whole point of this was to get out ahead of AI, because the concept is that AI is going to be so progressively stepping itself up once it reaches a point of machine learning that it's going to learn all the things that needs to be learned in like an instant at some point. And so the only way that we can beat the machine is to basically join the machine, right? So anyway, where I'm going with this, and the thought that
they made some movies about this.
oh, for sure,
It never ended up well for the human race.
Science fiction, it's scary, but science fiction in a lot of instances has sort of foretold the future.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different can of worms. But the thought that I had on the way home was that, like, if you have something implanted into your brain, what's to say that it couldn't artificially generate sensation? Since basically everything that we're experiencing, I'm holding a can of beer right now, and the only way that I know that it's a can of beer is because my brain has put that together. But, you know, we take in 6 million symbols per second, and our brain can filter out a certain amount of them, and it gives me, perception says that this is a can of beer, and because that's a learned thing, and my brain is sort of organized all of that through heuristics and you know, color recognition and all these little things, a sensation
Taste,
of what
all that.
liquid feels like going down your throat and whatever. So all of those sensations are they're picked up through our receptors, but our brain still tells us what it is. Okay, well, if there's something implanted into our brains, why couldn't that tell our brain that this is what the sensation is? So
You could theoretically watch an adult
you
movie.
could watch and feel porn without ever touching anything. And that's where I was going with all this.
So what you're saying is the perfect woman could exist.
Well, I'm just saying that, like,
Should say that.
a artificial, a virtual reality, an AI could simulate what sex actually feels like for you without ever touching another human being or having a haptic suit or anything like that.
I think that whole concept is incredibly awesome. I think it's also scary at the same time, though, because if you're connected to the computer system, in theory, then your brain could be hacked.
Oh, well, yeah.
So like that's a
Yeah.
scary thought too. Then
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, cool, I could watch porn and like feel all of it, cool. But at the same time, like, could somebody like they hack your bank account, hack your brain then?
And turn you into a zombie?
Yeah.
Of course. Absolutely.
That's fucking terrifying. I don't think the risk reward factor is very high on that one.
No.
Or Big Brother just determines your expiration date before you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this guy didn't pay his taxes this month. Delete.
And I think without going down the rabbit hole in this conversation, because we could definitely go to dark places and say that,
yeah.
if you have
let's not go too
an
deep.
interface on the brain that is sort of manipulating your reality, certainly this could go to fucking creepy, crazy places or whatever.
The Matrix.
But it is really interesting to think where, we're starting out with this whole metaverse thing. Kind of like a conversation like that, you need to keep drinking.
Yep.
It's interesting to think about where this stuff ends up as far as,
Only time will
virtual
tell. I mean,
reality.
technology in general is awesome to watch unfold. I mean, we constantly talk about EVs, electric vehicles and stuff like that, and it's crazy to see what's coming out. Mm-hmm. I mean, virtual reality is, again, right around the corner.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time.
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, pretty soon you'll just be able to spiritly drive any car you want in VR, and what's the point of owning them?
I know, isn't that wild to think about? That's one of the first places my mind went to, was like, okay, so, right now you can go out to Las Vegas and you can drive exotics, which you got to do at
Yes.
one point. You drove a 458, right?
Yes, one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're heading, is like, you're probably going to end up in Forza. And that sounds fun.
It does sound fun, but at the end of the day, you're not really experiencing anything.
But the best part of that is that when you're out driving balls to the wall and you crash,
Oh yeah, you don't physically.
you don't die. So that might be kind of nice.
That aspect would be kind of nice, and it's probably gonna be cheaper. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a pretty penny.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I want to do. The wife's like, "Oh, I got this show I want to go to, and I want to go to this museum." And I'm like, "I just want to rent a Ferrari." That's it.
Okay.
Give me 4 hours.
But question, do you get more gratification from driving your car or from building your car?
Ooh.
This is an excellent question.
Right now, I can't answer that. because I haven't.
Well, right
I
now-
haven't truly gotten to drive my car.
Well,
I've
right now
driven
you're-
my car, but I'm not. It's not 100% yet.
You're having some tribulations.
Yes.
So it's easy to get discouraged, but
Oh yeah, I swore at it a bunch tonight. With the
That's
kids,
fair.
with the kid sitting in the car. Oh, yeah.
even-
You fucking
even
piece
when
of
you're discouraged.
shit.
Dad, why do you say that? Watch the fucking numbers. Yeah, I had hard. Okay, so
it's still a gratifying experience, even when it's discouraging.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get more enjoyment driving than I do building my car. I enjoy building my car. It's cool watching the episode. The episodes help because I get to be like, oh yeah, I remember doing that and all this, and it's nice to see it all
I
come together.
suppose. Yeah, because you sort of like you're doing it,
Yeah.
you're in the moment, but when you're watching an episode of it, you get to look back on it and go, "Oh yeah, that's right. I remember I did these things. This is how I built this."
That was a bitch. I swore 3 times. That took 6 trips to O'Reilly's. I had 4 beers for that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But-
but for me, definitely driving.
Yeah.
Like, because driving for me is a stress reliever. It's me kind of just centering. It's yoga. It's my yoga. Like it just centers my brain when I drive.
See, I'm just thinking like car guys are kind of like a spectrum. There's not just one. They don't all fall in one spot. Like
Yeah,
some
some guys-
people are builders, some people are drivers, some are both, and
Yeah.
some people just anything. There's a spectrum on anything. Some people get more gratification from some things than others.
I love that you bring that up. That is, I don't know that like enough people understand that. So we all have friends that are either they're constantly out driving their vehicles or they're constantly in a state of building.
Yes.
And sometimes, depending on where you're at on that spectrum, you don't understand the opposite. You go like, how come you never finish a project? Or how come you never get to drive it before you sell it? Well, it's because that person is in love with the building experience. So that person is only focused on the driving side of it or whatever. I'm going to guess that the three of us fall a little bit more in the middle-ish of the spectrum because we
I'd
probably
say,
both
I
yeah.
agree with that.
you
It's like
know.
more middle leaning one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably lean more towards the driving experience.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because you don't have a ton of huge builds under your belt, but you
No,
have a
but-
lot of driving.
A lot of driving and anything I've ever done to a car was more of a like, oh, I could quickly knock this out in a week. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind working on it and get enjoyment out of it, but I was like, oh, there's a quick turnaround. The car's not going to be down long, so I can go enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you fall, Steve? Where do you think?
I feel like I'm in the middle, but I feel like I'm always more in the building stage, or like I'm always modifying it, or I'll finally get to a point of driving it. I'll drive it a few times, and like then it's on to the next thing, and then that one thing snowballs into way more than I should.
That's how it
I
goes.
laugh, buddy, because my God, you just told my story.
It's one of those like I have
feel
a
like
motor
it's
out,
pretty
so I can do
common
Yeah.
X,
story.
Y, and Z, and next thing you know, your little project is a big project.
Oh yeah,
Well, while I'm here, I might as well do that, and while I'm doing that, I might as well do this, and while I'm doing that, I might as well do the it's this big snowball.
That's how my project started. From like, we're just gonna put an SR into it. Like, let's put a Z3 rack and thicker sway bars in the car because it's already out of the car.
yeah. Why not?
But here, which is the logic way to do it, is like it's easier to do it, but it doesn't have to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your truck is a really good example of that, where you're like, okay, I got an idea of how I want this thing to function, so I'm going to build all these other aspects of it. I want it to handle really good, and I want it to be light. So what you'll do is you'll go through, you'll create your wish list, and you'll just chip away at each one of these things. And in the end,
Pretty
and I know
accurate.
you don't like to put out your mod list, but that truck is fucking wild. How far you've gone as far as like slapping good shit on that, lightening everything that you can, and now the drivetrain. I'm looking forward to it being done, dude.
Me too.
So, how long have you had your truck?
I was just thinking about this the other day. Because there was an overlap between the Z and the truck.
Yep.
I got a couple pictures of them actually sitting side by side in the garage. So I think I've had that truck longer than my current house. So I think I might have had that for like 8 years now.
Nice.
Alright,
I
that's a
think
good length of
I'm right
time.
around 8 years on that truck. I think, give or take.
It's a good investment, though. And the
Is
fact
it, is it though?
it is like 8 years and you haven't sold it yet. That's a good sign.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well that's actually kind of a cool way to look at it, of like just purely ownership. Ownership longevity must reflect something. So because you've owned it for 8 years, that tells us that clearly you love the platform, and this isn't the first gen that you've owned.
No, I mean, literally, a first gen S10 was my first vehicle.
Yeah, that's
And I
fucking
think that's
awesome.
part of the reason why I came back to it, is kind of living out my high school
I
fantasies.
do not want to go
Hell
back to
yeah.
my first vehicle.
What was your first vehicle?
89 Grand Prix.
No shit.
Yep.
Pontiac.
Yep.
Mine was a 89 or 88 Grand Am.
Yeah, I had a Grand Prix with
That's
the
hilarious.
fucking shitty door handles that
Oh,
fold
they
like
all
that.
rip off.
Yeah, yeah. I bought it. I had to climb it to the passenger side the first month I had it.
That's so
That's the way
great.
first cars should be.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
such a shit box.
They got to be pieces of shit.
Yeah, I blew that car up.
Did you? Oh man, yeah, that's fucking the garbage we started out on. But that's so cool that you came back around,
Yeah.
and you started out with a good platform. Your first vehicle was a first gen S10, so that's a pretty
great
good start.
platform.
Our platforms, unless you're
Shitty.
Brody, which Brody, I love you, buddy, but you love your old Pontiacs.
Do better.
No. Well, here's the thing though. Like that version of Grand Prix, you said
Yeah, I have a Grand Prix.
there was a McLaren version.
There was, and that's not the model I had.
No, so there was cool versions of all of these old turds.
There
but-
was some cool shit in it. It was the SE, so it had the bucket seats in the back, which were I thought that was kind of cool.
That's fun.
It's unpractical.
Makes it impossible to bang your girlfriend.
Oh
back
yeah,
there,
that's why
but-
it's unpractical. And it had like this big fucking display that looked like a touch radio. First time.
That's okay. He waxed the arm and I hit the foam.
Yeah, that's why not
Sorry,
the first
guys.
mic he's ever banged. So.
Oh my god.
So how you doing?
You ready to take some shit?
Oh, buddy.
Anywho,
You good? You can come back down to earth.
Okay.
and we're back.
Where do we go? Where do we go from that?
We don't have to talk about shitty 80s and 90s cars.
Oh my god. Okay. How did we? Where were we? How did we
We
get
were
on
talking
that?
about Grand Prix and
Yeah,
Grand
shitty
Ams.
Pontiacs.
Yeah. Okay. But we were talking about our builds, right?
Yes.
You were talking about the spectrum that you're on, whether you're a builder or a driver. I don't know where I land on this because I've been in both camps. Like I had the Del Sol. The Del Sol was definitely a fairly big build.
It was, but you got a lot of miles out of that, too.
I spent a shitload of time driving that car. You helped build it. You were there for the turbo build.
Yeah, you got turbo in my garage.
Yep, sure did.
Nothing wrong with that.
A lot of grain belt was drank.
A lot of grain belt was drank, yeah. And yeah, it did definitely, it turned into one of those builds that snowballed, and it was really fun. You know, I would have changed a few things in retrospect, but that definitely that build sort of reached its end, and I was ready to move on. Which the funny thing is, ever since then, I've been in a state of perpetual building shit. So now it's nice that the shoebox actually runs and drives, so I can try and reclaim some more seat time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. I don't know. Life is so short. It's like you have to get enjoyment out of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You have to go do experiences, go do things with your projects.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the way. That's the way I look at it, at least.
I look forward to that next stage.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can keep it there before it snowballs into something else again.
Well, it's a shame that you just ran out of time. Like, our driving season is at best 5 months, sometimes 6 months.
Yeah, we're getting pretty lucky this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's November, and I played disc golf and drove the BMW today. Mm-hmm. That's rare.
Yeah, it's pretty good. How close are you with the dime?
I just have to finish wiring.
Oh, that's all
engine
it is,
harness
huh?
and some terminations.
That's not bad.
I mean, you might have
and
time.
exhaust. I still got to do my exhaust.
You can drive open header.
As long as I got enough pipe to get an O2 sensor in it.
That's right. That's right. You've got O2 sensors to deal with. Yeah. But in theory,
Should be fine.
I mean, I could just
Should be
hey,
close.
buddy.
I could just stick a straight pipe off like the header.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, just to do a burnout at least.
You could drive it before the snow flies.
I could still pull it off.
Well, what are you doing here? Go get it done.
Drinking beer,
Yeah.
obviously.
So
banging
this
mics.
weekend, if you make it happen, we'll come out and film that burnout or drive or whatever it is. Right? We got like car mounts and everything now. We'll
That's
film
true.
it.
We could do a
we'll
really
film
nice
that
video
first
on that.
drive.
I'd kill the tires.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Get it done.
All right, if you can pull it off, no pressure, because I'm sure you've got a million things. You got a small army that you're raising.
That's true. You have 3 boys, so that's a handful.
3 boys.
Jesus Christ. I feel so. My boy is a handful. I can't imagine 3 of them.
See, I wouldn't know what to do with a daughter. I would be at this
Daughters?
point. I'd be so lost.
Snuggle them.
Yeah,
That's what you do. You snuggle
no,
them.
It depends on the daughter. Harper.
My daughter, I just snuggle. It's the best.
I do that with Ember. Harper's a little different. I don't know. She's got that like, I'm a tomboy. Like I'll go do some really badass stuff, but at the same time, she's such a hardcore daddy's girl that I almost get a hard time saying no sometimes, and like I do the coddling too.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
She got a COVID test the other day, and she got one a year ago, and she got the brain tickler. So she's freaking the fuck out the moment we step inside the building. I'm like, Harper, you're going to be fine. Like, it's not like you think it is. And we get in there, and she sees somebody get it done, and she's like, oh no, it looks scary. This. Her face is all red, eyes are getting heavy. I'm like, you're going to be fine. Like you got your ears pierced at a tattoo studio. Like you're going to be okay. This is gonna be fucking nothing. And so we get it done, and they just kind of take the Q-tip and kind of brush it around and all that. And she was just fucking fine. I get back in the car. I'm like, I told you, it's not that bad. She's like, it was awful. I'm like, bullshit. I looked at her like, you're fucking lying to me. That's bullshit.
Bullshit, asshole.
Like,
no one likes the tuna
Exactly.
here.
I'm like, you're just trying to hold your fucking ground and like act like it was the worst thing in the world. Like you're fucking full of it. And unfortunately, that's kind of how I talk to her.
No, that's not a bad thing. That's giving them a realistic expectation of the world.
You are fine. I'm like,
The world will not coddle you.
like nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Like I would never. I told her, I'm like, I would never put you in a situation that would physically cause you a lot of pain.
I think that explanation is huge as far as her just understanding the situation. When it happens, and then you look her in the eyes and you say like, I would not put you in harm's way.
Yeah, I would never do anything that would.
So she goes, okay, I can trust my dad
Yeah.
for the most part.
She did run. She ever tell you the story where she was running in the backyard? She's kind of being a dick to her brother, and she ran past me, and I tripped her.
Nice.
And she gets all whiny, and she looks at me. She goes, "What'd you do that for?" I'm like, to teach you a lesson. She's like, "I already know how to trip people." Like that's like motherfucker. That's not the lesson. The lesson is don't be a dick. Somebody's bigger than you.
That's amazing. I already know how to trip people. That's so good.
Pretty awesome.
That's not what I'm trying to teach you. I'm just trying to teach you like somebody is going to be bigger than you.
Right.
Don't be a dick.
Oh man, that's good
Yeah, so
shit.
you could handle a girl. You'd be fine.
I'm sure I would. Be.
I haven't had to go through those years yet. She's
Hopefully,
not a
I don't
teenager,
find
so
out
we'll
at this
see.
point. but
Yeah, you get the snip snap yet?
Not yet. I've been
Schedule that shit, homie.
I need to. I've been procrastinating, and I don't know why.
So I have to go get snipped
Maybe I'll
as
blame
well.
COVID. I don't know.
Maybe we can get a discount.
Oh, dude.
Ooh, group
no,
buy?
no, no. Wait.
Group
Group
buy.
buy.
I'm not even kidding about this. You two should schedule your vasectomies very similar. Same week would be ideal,
Same doctor.
right?
He's
Hold
got
up,
two hands.
Hold up.
I'll take the 8 o'clock.
Hear me
you
out.
Take the 9.
Yeah.
Hear
no,
me
that-
out. Then we shoot a podcast right after you guys have had that experience. Not like the same
I
day, but
I just hope they can knock me out for it.
like a few days after, and then because I've already had one,
Yeah.
and then
I've
we'll.
heard it's like exponentially more money if you get knocked out.
If you get knocked
it?
out, it's a shitload of money.
And I'm not cheap. I'll watch that shit.
No, I was awake.
No, I don't want
Save
to.
a
It's
couple
okay.
bucks.
I was awake.
I do not
and
want to watch that. The first time I see him go near my balls with a needle,
Hey,
I'm
if
like,
we're talking thousands
You
of
don't see
dollars,
it.
I'll watch.
unless you were like sitting up looking, you're not gonna see shit. You don't you don't see
I
any
don't
of
want
it.
the thought of it. None of that.
Okay, well, so you're, scared.
You
Yeah,
want another daughter?
What?
You want another daughter?
No. Yeah,
I'd watch.
I got.
Right? I've been through it, dude. It's cool. Like, it's good. Okay. That's what we're gonna do. So you two schedule it, figure it out, talk to each other, schedule it, and we're gonna shoot a podcast right
down.
after.
Our puppy needs to get fixed as well. So
Oh.
can
Hey,
we
Group
really
by at the vet.
He's practically the
North
size of a
Lines spay and
human.
neuter?
Well,
So,
here's
like,
the
why
thing.
not?
My dog's getting his balls snip snap.
Fuck, there's 4.
Hold up.
There's got-
Tomorrow.
There's got to be a deal.
So
at
you guys
5.
got to call quick. Call into work tomorrow.
I'm already taking a half
Show up
day.
with the dog and be like, group by. We got a group on.
We just put a pair of floppy ears on you, and I'll put a fucking tail and a little nose on me. And
That would be perfect.
oh yeah, we got 4 dogs.
Yeah, we're here
Fucking
for
snip
the
it.
furry convention.
You beat me to it.
So we're getting neutered.
Never took you as a furry, Donnie.
I'm not. I got the chest for it, but other than that,
That's amazing. All right, boys. So, we're gonna shift gears here. We're gonna talk a little bit about EVs again.
Yes.
Which I'm sorry if you guys are like
first off,
anti-EV. We're gonna talk a little bit about it. We're gonna talk a lot throughout this podcast, not just this one specifically, but just the podcast in general, because we're excited about the EV thing.
yes, I love that picture.
So I'm
I
gonna
absolutely love it.
I'm gonna
Love
go ahead
everything about
and
it.
share this with the peoples. I'm gonna swap over here.
Flippity floppity.
Merp, merp, derp, derp. All right. So this is super cool. Like, we've already been talking about it. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that we've been jabbering on about EVs, kind of like the future of it and where things are going. So I came across this, I think it was yesterday. And I didn't really understand what it was, but out of the, apparently, and I don't know when it's been scheduled since, but it's in 8 days. So clearly this is something that's been scheduled and planned out for a
not
while.
enough time for us to build a car for it.
No, not at all.
We could EV
But
swap the Civic.
basically, it's Holly's version. They have LS Fest. This
That was
is the EV Fest that they've come up
That
with.
was my exact question I was about to have. Is this like the EV equivalent of LS Fest?
Yeah, it is.
Which is incredible because it's racing.
Yeah,
It's a racing event.
It
for
is-
EVs. That's so cool.
so damn cool, because we're talking like okay, so it's basically like it's an introduction to, or it's the very first one of just sort of an EV auto sports kind of event. So you've got everything from, and I wish these things would load. We got everything from the car show side of it to drifting, drag racing. It's sort of covering the gamut.
Isn't there like a road course going on too?
Yeah, it's everything.
So
Here we go.
is this-
There it's going.
Speaking
this
of
a-
Apple IIes,
Is this
I'm just kidding.
Right, I know.
Is this
It's our
almost-
internet connection.
is it almost Power Cruise but with EVs?
I don't know that I would qualify it as Power Cruise, but
Lot
it
less
probably has. Yeah, I would guess it's a little more civilized, because if you scroll down a little bit
true.
here, there is a wine country cruise.
Oh,
So I'm gonna guess it's a little more civilized than Power Cruise.
Yeah, that's not somebody drinking Busch Light in the back of a Chevy pickup.
But yeah, if you check it out here, it's like it kind of covers it all. I don't know if you can see, Steve.
God, that
I
would be
can
a
see.
blast though.
I was just thinking, can us more budget folks attend with like Power Wheels?
Well, that's actually a really good question. I wonder, even like RC cars, because clearly that's the sort of, all EV technology is really just scaled up RC cars.
Yeah, that's true.
It makes you wonder if something like that isn't a portion of it. But
That does look like a very good time though.
it's cool. Like,
I would totally go to that.
And
Doesn't look like a bad time.
I had no idea. It just out of the blue, all of a sudden I came across this and I was like, wow, this actually is very, like, it looks like a really well put together event. And when I started following like who the big names are that are coming out to it. Let's see if this is actually gonna pop up at the bottom here. Grind Hard Plumbing Company. So they're the guys who've been putting like 2-stroke motors and like Barbie Power Wheels cars and shit.
My kind of people.
Rich Rebuilds, and then Salvage to Savage.
That is gorgeous.
Their C10 is gonna be
Yeah.
added.
It's a gorgeous truck.
You familiar with them?
I've
Okay.
seen,
I mean-
I think that's the one I saw pictures of the other day. It's a SEMA truck.
That
isn't it?
truck broke the internet for a couple of days there. It is I don't know what year specifically, but it's a C10, and it's got Tesla motors front and back.
I just saw SEMA pictures of.
So
this
it's like a
yesterday.
P100D
So gorgeous.
with a truck body on it, basically. It is a masterpiece. Have you guys seen the lights that they've built onto that thing?
No.
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. So basically, like, the lights are... It's what you'd expect as far as, like, super... like futuristic, silly, like just like the LEDs are moving in like sort of sequential shit. Like I'll see if I can kind of pull it up here.
So we're not talking about like neons under
It's not
under
underglow.
Civics that are stealing VCRs.
Yeah, it's not.
No.
It's not underglow with Ludacris
it's,
cranked up.
I'll see if I can't pull this up. We'll let the people just kind of watch us for a minute here while I try and look it up, but.
If it works. If our internet is
We don't
strong
have the
enough to
best internet here, so bear with us, guys. But it's
right.
pretty
We got
extraordinary to kind of think like where we're heading towards. Like,
There's some really exciting shit out there.
so if you think about it, yes, and I brought this up in past podcasts where I feel like we're just sort of this middle generation that's stuck between the technological future and the very analog world of yesterday. It's clear to me that as we're watching all this crazy shit unfold, interfacing with computers, getting implanted into brains and virtual reality and all this shit, even at like the basic level, we're seeing EV like technology sort of creep its way into our day-to-day lives.
Well, I scrolled down that Facebook page that you shared about that, and they shared Ford has a 285 horsepower EV crate motor.
Oh yeah,
you can
it's
get.
God, yeah. What
What's
is it?
this-
285? I thought it was a little higher than that.
I thought it said 285. I could be off on it. But still, like, okay, cool. That's awesome. They're making crate motors for EV swaps.
Yeah.
You can buy an EV crate motor.
Well, GM was the first.
Yeah.
Yep.
They produced the one that it would bolt up to a Chevy transmission,
Yep.
right? Like a
Chevy bell housing.
80E,
So cool.
60E,
Turbo
700
350,
R4.
Turbo
Yep.
400.
So they were sort of the pioneers of it.
You caught my attention with the Miata.
Yeah.
As you know, I have a soft spot for Miatas. I'm sorry. I'll
so-
own one again someday.
Well, and they're building a gnarly DeLorean. So
I think I saw that one. Is that, again, a SEMA car? The body kit on it. It's got twin turbo that sits kind of behind the rear axle of the vehicle.
yes, I
Okay.
believe so.
It looks really cool. It's very unpractical. But it's a SEMA car.
Yeah, these
fine.
guys just I don't know where they came from. They just kind of like, damn it. Well, I can't pull up Instagram on the computer because I'm not really prepared for it. But
Hey, Dalmatian.
yeah, so these guys have been building some wild shit. Okay, wait a minute. That's right. We're dealing with fucking Microsoft Edge here.
Yeah, I've seen that. I saw pictures of that DeLorean. The DeLorean is gorgeous looking.
Yeah,
I just saw pictures of that for the first time today.
Yeah, it's not a street car. You can't drive that down the road, unfortunately. Well, that's really badass.
Oh, cool. Okay. So hopefully you guys can kind of hear this in a little bit in the background. So basically, I'm going to flip on back over here to... Hopefully this doesn't just like break our stream.
Yeah, might. We'll see.
But, and, monetization be damned. So basically, this is their Tesla Swap C10 gets ready for SEMA. We're going to scroll on ahead to a little bit further on in the video here. Maybe we can, they're just chit-chatting, see some more action with the actual truck. These guys built some fucking wild stuff. And I had no idea who they were until I came across this C10. And it was cool because like I'm just looking at the pictures of it, and it's like got the big chopped fenders. They haven't yet bolted on the big wide body fenders to it. And I'm looking at it, I'm just like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on with this thing? And the further you sort of examine the pictures of it, you realize like, oh, one, this is EV swapped. Two, like, especially when you see the extent to which they've done like these crazy little like, god damn it, bear with me here, all these crazy little touches they do to just sort of accentuate the fact that it's EV. Like, I'm gonna try and find these fucking taillights here. Bear with me, we're literally scrolling through videos to try and find this. And I really hope this works out for you guys so you can see it. It's incredible what they're doing with this thing. And they're a pretty big company, apparently, so I think I just wasn't in the know. We'll put a little volume on here.
Yeah, I've definitely seen pictures of this, but I've not watched any footage of it.
Yeah. And bear with me, I have not watched the YouTube videos on it. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Infinity Light?
Okay. We'll just go to that. That's going to show off some of the lighting on it. There we go. Good God. Okay. Here we go. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, actually, this is what I saw on Instagram. So, here we go. They're actually installing some you guys have probably seen those in like taillights and stuff where it just like looks like the lights never end. It's like that sort of mirroring effect.
Yep.
Well, they fucking did this with the back end of the thing.
That's pretty sweet.
Just like make it look like a spaceship.
Yeah, basically.
The tail lights and the infinity box for the tailgate. We also have Andrew here wiring up all our accessories, and all the little gadgets. Thank you guys for subscribing, man. We hit 100,000 subscribers today. We are stoked. We're really glad you guys are enjoying the channel and all the stuff that we're putting out for you guys. And we're almost there.
It's crazy that they're not bigger, considering.
Yeah, that kind of surprises me. Considering they're having vehicles be at SEMA with a lot of coverage.
We could have vehicles at SEMA.
That's true.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, but nobody wants to see the Civic at SEMA.
Nobody does. No, but like the quality that they do is pretty extraordinary.
I bet you'd put a pretty epic waffle on the Civic if it was there.
That's true. That's true.
That's our problem, man. We need to put it in a show and then put a waffle on it.
It'd be a second car show.
I mean,
Probably wouldn't win any awards at that one, though.
it doesn't have to be entered into it. You could just like park it in a parking lot at SEMA. And you can say it was at SEMA.
That's true. Road trip.
That is a very good
Fucking
point.
road trip.
Well, here's the thing. So we will be at SEMA eventually.
Someday.
And it's one of those things.
It's one of two shows that are on my bucket list.
It's one of those things where we continue to go, oh, well, next year. But I think we need to finally just make that happen and actually attend.
I have 0 trips planned for 2022 so far.
Okay, well, we're going to fix that because we need to schedule in some adventures. But SEMA, I think, is a must. And I believe, like, in order to get people in, you sort of have to have a business that is established in the industry. And I think there's ways to make that happen as... yeah, here we go.
That's pretty badass. Actually, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but...
No, it's
that's
finally
really
what I've
badass.
been trying to show you guys.
Can you simulate what happens when I hit the brakes? Yeah. There's some red. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Having brake lights built into it, you're using NeoPixels for custom lighting. You always want to do some kind of really bright, redundant brake lighting because the NeoPixels themselves aren't really as bright as you need them to be.
Next step is to get this thing wired up to the brake pedal, to the headlight switch, and then we'll be able to get this thing to function with the rest of the truck.
Isn't that wild?
That is
Sweet.
It is so fucking cool. So not only do these guys, they start with a gorgeous base. It's a C10, and they're doing a wide body setup and everything on it. So it's a gorgeous looking vehicle. Then they step it up, and they go ahead and they put an EV swap into the thing. And then on top of that, they start just filling it full of like cool lighting
Decking it
and futuristic shit and all these little touches. And when you look at like the craftsmanship that they've put into it, it's just wild to me.
Yeah, they got some real cool shit on that C10.
Put it inside of a case. I guess we have to make a box for it. No, they're just cables. What did he do? Reuse an old, like, that's from an
We'll skip ahead a little bit here so that people can see.
The brake lights are in.
There we go. That's some of that sequential
So
shit
cool.
that they're doing.
To Pennsylvania. We have this truck looking real clean.
Yeah,
Although
this
we
thing's
have
just a
some things in the
masterpiece.
morning. We got the Polycup computer this morning, so we do have some wiring to clean out before it does get in the trailer. It is really cool. The handbrake's in. So we want to tell you guys, we ain't perfect. We are human. And we are working with used Tesla parts. So there's always issues when you're trying to use something that other people have salvaged. So I want to give Henry from Autobahn Dismantling a big thumbs up. He's been really awesome for us. Our front inverter isn't working correctly, so he did ship us out a new one along
That's
with 4
that's an incredible build.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's pretty wild.
Which just kind of goes to show that the sky's the limit on EV swaps.
Yeah, I want to see if I can just pull up a picture of this thing so I can leave the viewers with that. Yeah, I'm just so impressed with where things are going, and you've got a couple of pioneers that are really kind of like sort of setting the standards with it. And I didn't know anything about these guys until I just happened across them, but I think very clearly like they're one of the standout shops that are like, gonna serve as a good example for the rest of us. So hopefully you guys could hear that pretty decently. This is one of the first times that we're trying to like have video going at the same time that we're filming and doing all this stuff. So hopefully there wasn't any hiccups with that. But definitely check out Salvage to Savage if you've got the time. Check out their C10. Brody, I know you're one of our common listeners, and thank you for that, buddy. Check out their DeLorean.
It's
I know
gorgeous.
you just sold your DeLorean, so not trying to put salt in the wound, but you should check out what they've been building. It just blows my mind, all the builds that I've watched from them. Fucking awesome shop. So with that said, who's gonna be the first of the three of us to EV swap something?
If I had the money, I totally would. I have the perfect vehicle for it. I just don't have the money to do it.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think? You've talked about it.
So just a week or two ago, a coworker told me about first gen S10, clean, unmolested, cheap, not rusty. And I'm like, oh man.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, and that my mind instantly went EV swap because honestly, if I didn't put as much money into this LS setup, I'd honestly consider an EV swap for the dime right now.
Yeah, man.
If I had more space to store cars, I'd be really tempted to
I
go
think
pick up
that's-
another clean body.
So what you're saying is a certain stepfather needs to have a location for a certain operation to happen.
I think that's as a car guy. I think that's a blessing in disguise.
A blessing in the skies.
In disguise.
No, it's a Trailer Park Boys reference. It's okay, buddy.
I'm sorry, I've never seen it.
What?
What?
I'm sorry.
What? Okay, of all the funny shit that you've said tonight, that's the funniest.
Actually,
Wait.
that's the saddest.
I've seen
Yeah, that is
I've seen
sad.
Countdown to Liquor Day,
Well, that's your problem.
and that's it.
You need to start at the pilot and work your way up.
Okay, I have to apologize. I have such a hard time committing to TV shows.
I don't. There is
It's
so
so
few
hard for me
TV
to
shows
do.
I watch, and I
Same
was
here.
committed
I
to
can-
Trailer Park Boys.
I can count. I
It's
can
the
think
best.
of 2 I've seen all the episodes of.
Okay, well, so if you love Dexter,
Yes.
you've seen all the Dexter episodes.
Yes, we're actually gonna be paying for Showtime to watch the new
Okay,
season.
so you love Dexter. So Trailer Park Boys is just like Dexter.
Okay.
Except
okay.
not at all, but fucking watch it. It's seriously,
I
it's
should watch
so goddamn funny, dude.
I should
It is
watch it.
so funny. And you're missing out on like some serious cultural references.
All right, I'll give it a
Watch
shot.
it.
I know Bubbles likes his kitties.
That's just a piece of it,
Yeah,
man.
that's just
That's a
small
tiny
slice of the pie.
sliver of the whole thing. But here's the thing: you got to commit to 2 seasons. You have to watch the first 2 seasons. Season 1 gives you a little bit of a taste, a little introduction to the boys.
Okay.
Season 2, you get hooked.
Yeah.
So
It's just
yeah.
like The Office.
Why watching
never
2
seen The
seasons? You're
Office either.
guaranteed to be hooked.
Yeah.
how long are the episodes?
25 minutes,
Yeah,
30 minutes.
22.
Okay, I could do that.
Yeah,
then.
that might be 22
an
minutes.
hour
Actually.
is a lot to sacrifice. I'll give it a
Yeah.
shot.
I find myself using so many Rickyisms.
Oh, dude.
Just like a few
It's
weeks
just water
ago.
under the fridge.
Like I was in a legitimate meeting at work, and I used a Rickyism, and it went over everybody's head, and like everyone's like looking at me and like looking around, like he's not that retarded, is he? We know he's not that retarded, but did he just say that?
And that is such a shame.
I'm like, oh, really? Nobody?
Nobody.
I don't care. I'll look retarded.
Whatever. That's cool. Just embrace it. Because the one person in the room that didn't speak up, the one person or 2 people that were in that room and saw that nobody picked up on it and they were too embarrassed to own or to laugh into it, they get it. It's worth it, man. I'll be that guy. I'm in social work.
Well,
I will crack jokes in meetings.
Normally that humor isn't lost there, but apparently this day it was.
That's a
And
shame.
I'm just like, I was.
You got to check it out, man.
I'll
you
check it
have
out.
to.
I'll give it a shot.
Give it a try. I mean it though. Commit to 2 seasons.
I'll try watching.
Do not watch
try
for the
watching
first season and then judge the whole series. There's a reason why this show is so big that it's got 10 seasons, 12 seasons.
I lost count.
There's like 5 different movies or 4 movies or whatever it is.
Jesus.
There is
It's a cult following.
there's a live performance that tours.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've gone to it. It's the shit. Well, this is before Leahy passed. I actually got to see Leahy and Randy.
Oh.
Which you'll get that. Once you watch
Alright.
the show, you'll get how amazing that is. That I got to see those guys. It was so good. Anyway.
I'll give it a shot. I'll totally give it a shot.
Listeners, if you know Trailer Park Boys, put your favorite Ricky-ism in the comments.
Yes.
God.
Please. Yeah. So as far as like EV swaps go, are you gonna do a dime?
You should.
Honestly,
Do it.
I feel like the EV swap is the next evolution. After LS, EV swap will probably be the next evolution for that.
So
brand.
I think instead of like reinventing the wheel, instead of taking your current S10, the burnt orange one, and EV swapping it after doing all this work, I definitely think a second chassis makes sense.
I agree with you.
So buy this second chassis.
I need more space.
No, you don't.
Well, and that's the trouble,
Just make the wife park on the street.
bro.
trying to keep my wife happy, and do what I want to do automotive wise is a struggle.
Fair enough.
It's a balancing act.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. But with additional space, and eventually that's going to pan out. I think eventually there's going to be that sort of additional space. And we can talk about storage stuff too, because I have other property. So we can always talk about like where things can sit if need be.
Listening.
Yes. So we can that sort of if you got a really good chassis, we'll visit about that sort of thing. I think it's one of those things where it's like we all got to start thinking about like the EV stuff, and I know that like some people are probably going to be just fucking hating that idea because they resent EV because it's like, oh well, you've got the hipsters who own Teslas, or you've got the fucking Prius crowd, which is hybrid, which is in the middle. You know, that's the transition to EV. But once you get a taste of it, once you see kind of like the EV technology and where things are going to go and how fucking bonkers it is, the whole automotive community is going to embrace it. Yes, you lose the sound, but the performance is mind blowing.
It's instant. It's instant. You put
Fucking
your foot down and you're
mind-blowing.
like, oh shit, there's all the power.
Yeah.
Well, not to change the subject, but that's another problem of mine because my mind is so stuck in looking at flathead platforms. Yeah,
You don't want an EV swap Model A?
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, oops. Sorry, guys, if you heard the buzz. I would have a hard time EV swapping something pre-war. Well, I shouldn't say that.
In the right
depends.
application.
Yeah.
What I, not to change the subject, but like what I really want to build next is pre-war open wheel hot rod, traditional hot rod.
Yeah, that would be hard to EV swap.
And yeah, that's something that can't be
Yeah.
EV swapped.
Oh,
I'm not
no,
saying there's
yeah.
not different like pre-war hot rods that couldn't be.
Yeah, but an open
depends on
wheel,
the application.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
get that.
Well, I think it kind of depends on the person too. Like, so if I were to do a Model A, I'm back and forth on it. I do think that I would want to do a gasoline engine, at least for now. And it, sort of like, and I won't like give away my ideas with it, but I'm thinking about doing something really unique with it. But it's going to be internal combustion. And I don't know when that would take place, but that's sort of like where I'd go next with it. But I wouldn't be surprised if future builds are going to be EV. Like if it's a Volkswagen, for sure it's going to be an EV thing, just because I think that's like it's going to be so fucking easy to do that. We've talked about this at length.
Oh, tons of times.
Now, I was talking with Sean actually earlier. For the listeners, you guys haven't met Sean yet. We're going to try and have him on the podcast here eventually.
See Sean, though, on a Shoebox episode where we
Oh, yeah.
start mocking up the frame.
So one of our most popular videos is a Shoebox Ford video where we chop the front end off, and one of our good buddies his name's Sean, and he's on there and he's helping us with the measurement side of things, kind of giving us a few pointers because he's been in auto body for ages and he worked in a hot rod shop previous to working in the auto body side of things. Very talented builder, one of the best fabricators we know, and so he's in that video. And I was visiting with him earlier today because I had to stop up there and pick up a very specific sized box because I'm selling the skirts from the shoebox. And he and I got to chatting, and he's actually thinking about EV swapping his 34 Chevy.
Really?
So
That'd
he's
be kinda
got
cool.
a 4-door 34 Chev. He's going to maintain the whole original aesthetic. He's going to go straight gangster with it. That's kind of what he's hoping to do. Very, Al Capone, very gangster, very Dick Tracy style
Be
of
very cool.
that cool, like, sort of old, big, long slung fender look kind of thing. But he's thinking about maybe EV swapping it.
Just slinking around silently.
Yeah,
I could
right?
see that car pulling it off.
kinda
though.
cool.
I could definitely pull that off.
Yeah, well, and I applaud like the creativity side of it, where it's like, well, yeah, we've done everything with these cars. I mean, surely there's been LS swapped ones. There's been,
And if anybody can pull it off, it's definitely Sean.
right?
Like, Sean's just built some really cool shit over the years.
Yeah, he sure has, man. So it's cool. Like I'm excited because a lot of the people that I wasn't sure where they sat on the idea of doing EV swaps. Everyone's kind of like sort of thinking about it. There's a lot of people that I've visited with that are just like, yeah, maybe I'd consider EV swapping this or that, and it's sort of like it's entering the chat.
Yeah, I
where we're
think-
not just talking about should I LS swap it, should I 2JZ swap it, should I Gen 2 small block Chev, whatever. I want a nailhead Oldsmobile or a nailhead Cadillac, Buick, whatever the fuck that old GM motor is. It's not just that. It's also we're starting to talk about EVs now.
Yeah,
It's just impossible to ignore the performance.
Yeah.
the performance. I think the biggest hinder though is just price tag. It just it isn't affordable enough yet for people to realistically think about it. It's
For
close.
now.
It's close.
Well, I mean,
So,
do you want to
but-
spend a ton of money on an internal combustion engine and then just get walked all over by a factory Tesla?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I know, right? Well, so and I think this is just like the early days of the LS. So I don't know if you guys remember when the LS engine first came out. I think it was 1999.
Yeah, I wasn't in the cars yet. I was 9.
I think it was
98, 99.
was it the Corvette that was the first?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember what year that was.
I think
The Chevy trucks had it in 99.
99 was the first year for trucks.
Yeah. So when the LSs came out, they were really expensive to get your hands on. But after like 6 years or something like that, they were starting to pop up everywhere. And people were starting to swap them into stuff. And we're realizing like, oh, this is a this motor fits in everything. It's got a small footprint. It makes amazing power. You can easily bolt it up to basically any transmission. Okay, cool. This is going to be a good power plant. 10 years after that, oh snap, it's in literally everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's in Ferraris now. Okay, well, EVs are kind of in the same situation where it's like, okay, we're in the very early days. You know, things haven't found their way into everything, but in a matter of time,
I feel like in 10 years it will be the next LS.
so if
I
you
can see that.
if
Yeah,
you
I
look
think
at
you're right.
Tesla's sales, you'll see very clearly Tesla's like the best-selling car company. They're like I should say the best. They're one of the best-selling car companies. And if you look at like their sort of their bottom line, you go, okay, well, clearly this brand is taking off, and there's going to be a million of these things in the junkyards.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. Once it gets to be a bunch of these things in the junkyard, you can start stealing parts for cheap, just like LSs.
Yeah.
When they're a dime a dozen in the junkyard.
So being EV though, how do they get to sit in a junkyard though? Because there's a lot more, for lack of a better word, like hazards involved and stuff like that. You can't just let the battery sit out in the field.
Well, I'm sure the battery's another thing. As long as like
probably
they were
get
damaged and the reason why they went to the junkyard, they're probably gonna get harvested for parts just like the motors.
Just
and,
like everything else.
Exactly. So in the beginning, I think it's going to be one of those everybody's chomping at the bit to get their hands on the spare parts from it. And that's kind of where it's at. Like we're watching Salvage to Savage, and they've got these used parts and they're just trying to figure out if they work or not. They said like one of their front end things were having some issues or something like that, which I gather is just like maybe the front motors aren't as operational as they hoped they would be. It was probably from a car that got hit in the front end or something like that. That's the early days. And of course, the scrap yards are probably super protective, asking $1 million for all of these parts right now.
God, they're like our scrap
But
yards.
eventually, it's just going to be like the LS, where they become so plentiful that you can't be an asshole about it and charge $1 million for the rear diff setup, what do they call it, trailing arm, whatever the hell that assembly is. That it's going to be much more accessible for everybody. Prices are going to drop, and then the hot rodders of now are going to start swapping them into everything.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet when
agree.
that happens, though.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be pretty sweet.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm excited to see where the aftermarket takes, like beautifying the batteries and stuff like that. So we're so accustomed to, motors having a certain aesthetic. And I think because in a lot of instances, especially if we have Tesla setups where it's just sort of like the motor is not necessarily hub mounted, but it's like differential mounted. They're still going to want something up front. We're going to need weight up front. So I feel like the battery is going to end up in a lot of vehicles kind of up in the engine bay. Well, batteries aren't the prettiest thing in the world.
No,
so
they're not.
I think the cases are going to start looking like pretty and finned and all that
I think
kind of
we've
cool
already
shit.
seen everybody's seen the Teslas where they put the 2 Duracell battery looking cover on the front of them. Like, there's ways out there. There's ways to do it.
So if you're not familiar, oh man, what is the brand? Icon? You guys ever heard of the Icon
No.
before? Okay, so I'm gonna try and pull it up here.
More Google.
More Google.
The Oracle.
Yeah, so Icon. I'm trying to think of the name of these things. All right. Oh, damn. Okay.
The future is
well,
now, old man.
Okay. Sorry, you guys. This is gonna be a little boring part in the video. I'm trying to find. There's a certain name that they have for these. I think it's derelict. There it is. There it is. Okay. Icon derelicts.
Oh,
All right. So,
Hello.
that looked pretty promising.
okay. So, Fat Sweaty Betty here.
That's a great name.
Steve knows. So what we have here is this is an EV swapped Mercury. And what makes this thing so special is it's built by Icon. Icon is an amazing builder. They're one of those brands where they love to have their in this case it's called the derelicts, and what that is they're high patinaed cars. So they have that very classic aesthetic that looks like it's been sitting out in the field. But what you don't see is that underneath this thing, we're talking, it is like, and he's not the best builder, but it's an Art Morrison level chassis.
It's just a wolf in sheep's clothing.
100%. Yep. The chassis
That's
are
really badass.
incredible. They're they're just incredibly well built chassis. The power plants are incredible. It's all very top tier building, but the bodies on them are very sort of grungy. It depends. Like if you're a car guy, you look at that and you go, "Oh, it's a great patina." Mm-hmm. That's just a patinaed classic American.
And if you're my wife, you look at it and they're like, "Oh, that's rusty as shit."
Yeah, your wife looks at it and they're like, "Oh, that's kind of a
Look at that turd.
Yeah,
it's kind of a shit box."
That's a pile of crap.
Underneath that is basically it's if I remember correctly, I think it's very Tesla based. I think, but what's cool about this car, and I'm not going to be able to find pictures without digging, and I don't want to subject you guys to that. But the engine bay is really special. One of my favorite things about this car is that what they do with the engine bay is the batteries are up front, and they built like a casing for all of it. And it's thin, it's gorgeous, and it doesn't look like a motor, but it looks like something that belongs in the engine bay.
Oh, shit. That's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, and I'm excited because I think that's sort of where things are going to go.
Something that doesn't look out of place in a hot rod.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, if we're talking open wheels with no hood, it's not going to look right. I mean, until we have casted aluminum casing where the batteries sit inside of it and it's very pretty looking. I don't think it's going to look right.
But in time, our aesthetic might change. We might be more accepting of whatever the case may.
I don't think that's really much to ask for,
That's
though.
so true.
Is it Triumph or Norton?
I mean, at least our generation may be more accepting of whatever that case may look like.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Millennials are probably going to be the generation that's way more open to that sort of thing.
I mean, I'd rather see a flathead under there or sitting. I mean, out there in an open wheel, but
Yeah, but you could make a casing that looks like it, though.
you could.
I mean, again, Triumph or Norton, I can't remember which motorcycle company it was, made a fuel injection system that looks like carburetors.
That's
Well,
Triumph.
like every
That's
throttle
Triumph?
body
Okay.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, why can't you make a casing to hide the batteries that looks a little bit more like a flathead?
I mean, I don't see any reason why you couldn't.
Yeah, it's an undertaking for sure.
I mean, you could almost take like a mock-up block, cut it out so it slips over the diameter of the motor.
That's
and then
true.
just bolt aluminum heads to that mock-up block, and you could almost do it yourself.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because the flatheads are basically quiet when they're running anyways at idle. So you just be like, oh, until you get on it, you'd be like, wait, where's the sound?
I don't know how much heat a motor like that would generate, but
I have no clue.
I have
Yeah,
no
I
clue
don't
either.
know. I don't know.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm stoked. It's I think like our children's generation is going to be like, they're not really gonna know what a gasoline motor is. They're gonna kind of know it
Ours will.
because of ours.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
my daughter might. I don't know about my son.
yeah,
If I won't care.
yeah. I think like we're at
Our
the
crotchety old dads used to deal with that stuff.
well, and can you guys imagine? So Steve, you've been building not EV. You've been building RC cars for ages now. And you've built some really wild RC builds, drift cars, track. You call them track cars,
Yeah,
right?
Race cars, yeah.
Yep. And then crawlers as well. So you've kind of built everything. So you're fully aware of EV technology on a smaller scale.
Yes.
And all of that is clearly going to get scaled up.
Oh,
It
yeah.
already is, right?
We're already there.
Yeah. So you've had a taste of this stuff already. And I have to assume that, like, you're especially excited about where things are going and sort of know how crazy it can get.
Buckle up, shit's gonna get wild.
Because I've watched your races. I've gone to a couple of these things, and actually they happen at Motorhead Madness, which is a local car show. They've got a portion of the event that is actually like carpeted track or whatever.
Carpet, on-road carpet track.
It's impossible to follow these things
Oh,
unless
so
you're used to
quick.
racing them. It's mind blowing how fast these little things are.
Just means EV cars are gonna be even quicker.
Yeah, it's
Those swing nuts.
exciting to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, just scale that up, and it's gonna get wild.
Yeah.
I mean, just what the Plaid is doing now is just mind blowing.
What does the Plaid do?
It's
0
like,
to 60.
like 1.2 or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know exactly, don't
That's
quote
so
me, but it's like
unreal.
something absurd like
That's
that.
not realistic.
I wonder if the
You
body
know?
can handle that. I don't know.
I would
So there's
assume it
going to be a
would.
point where you have so many G forces on your body that you just pass out.
God damn. Can you think about accelerating onto the highway just a little too quickly and you pass out?
Jeez. Well, then the what is it? Autopilot will just take over.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, another driver passed out. We're
Oh,
just gonna
shit,
take
yeah.
over.
Just add incense into the air so they wake up eventually.
I wonder,
Oh, driver went limp. Autopilot take over.
right? I wonder if we're gonna reach a point though where the EV swaps are gonna end up in hot rods and shit like that. There's gonna be like a shitload of accidents because people are gonna be so accustomed to like, you know, the sort of like,
There's going to be a learning curve.
Well, I'm a little worried about regulation taking over there.
yeah, it's like, how is this? That's a shitload of power for a
Yeah.
lot of people who have no idea what to expect with electric.
Right, and
Well,
just,
hopefully a few don't ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Only
Fuck,
time will
man.
tell.
I know. All right. Well, I think we've exhausted this for today.
Yes.
Yeah. So hey, thanks guys very much for listening. We'd love to hear. So if you guys want to comment in about like your thoughts on the EV and sort of like where things are going.
What would you EV swap? Let us know.
I know that's such a good question. Like, cause we all have different ideas. I'll go to no end. I'll say it's Volkswagens. I
Yeah,
want to EV swap a Gia.
Yeah, I'd like to do a van again or a bay window.
And Steve, what are you gonna EV swap?
I'd like to do an S10
First gen S10.
or even an OBS or
What
square
about
body.
what about a Honda
Yeah.
Civic?
I mean, I like to see it, but it's not my thing.
Damn.
He does not want to own our shit box.
Gotta try.
Maybe
Gotta try.
if I was like given a CRX, like
You want to?
Oh,
Yeah, like-
CRX would be fun.
if I was given a
CRX would be
clean
perfect
CRX
actually for that.
shell.
You know what? I'm gonna
I'd-
go on
I'd
another
probably do
tangent here. So the
Charlie.
fact that Charlie swap that thing.
Charlie.
The fact that you can get hub-mounted motors is gonna
Yes.
change the fucking game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can turn any car into an all-wheel drive car.
Exactly. So you've got EG hatches, you've got CRXs. Like you could so easily just toss a whether it's a Tesla swap or a hub-mounted setup in the back of it, and suddenly you've got a rear-wheel drive CRX like nothing.
That'd be sweet.
Have you seen
Crazy.
I can't remember who manufactures them. Or it's a literally like a rear axle with the integral motor built into it. So you literally just take your rear axle, say out of your OBS,
Damn.
and just bolt this rear axle integral motor unit onto your leaf springs, mount your battery somewhere, boom,
No shit.
You have an EV swap.
I'm in.
That sounds fantastic.
Whoever manufactures that, let me know.
You guys want to sponsor the
You
channel?
should sponsor our channel. We'll EV swap the OBS
Hell yeah.
in a heartbeat.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's built into the axle
It's
housing.
integral to the axle housing.
That's so fucking cool.
It's so smart.
Those poor leaf springs.
Yeah, you might have to do like maybe a traction bar or
Yeah, I
something.
think we're gonna need to do something. 4-link might be
Or
necessary.
maybe like tone down like your voltage curve or
Man,
something.
but that's the beauty of EV, man.
Yeah.
It's like, and you know this, building RC cars. I'm sure that you've got to like dial shit in.
Yeah.
If you have too gnarly too high discharge rate of a battery with the right motor, you'll just destroy parts.
Yeah, it's no different than tuning a. Well, I'm sure it's a little different,
Tiny bit different, but
but I mean,
Similar
you got torque
principles.
curves and yeah.
fucking nuts.
It'd be awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't,
it'd be
well,
fantastic.
Electric motors don't really have a curve, but you know what I mean.
A spike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a straight line.
Fucking nuts. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Sorry if you're a internal combustion fanatic.
And we just talked about EVs for an entire
Yeah.
episode.
If you're still listening and you are an IC internal combustion fanatic, ICF. If you're a person who loves motors, we're sorry if we went on a giant tangent, but
We still
want to
love
thank
them
you.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like,
Oh,
Except for
They
when
do.
they decide they want to knock for no apparent fucking reason.
it's either that or like the knock sensor is being stupid.
Yeah. Who
It
knows?
doesn't mean that
Fucking
you're
knows.
knocking. It could just be that the knock sensor is being like ridiculous.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Dumb
Don't worry
fucking
about
cars.
it. We'll
Yeah.
bring it out to Brian's track this weekend and
If it makes it.
we'll break it.
I don't want to break it.
You'll have to break it.
Okay, go ahead.
You kind of break it.
Send it.
It can't break if it never leaves
We're
the
just gonna
garage.
take that resistor and we're gonna plug that into the knock sensor thing, and you're just gonna do
Just send it.
donuts. Just fucking send it.
That's assuming the axle doesn't walk itself out. As well. There's all sorts of
Stuff.
things going against that
Fucking
car.
stuff. Okay, guys, thank you very much for listening to another Brews with the Dudes episode. We will see you next week with more
Stuff.
Stuff. Conversations.
Bye bye.
See ya.